What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about the Megabass Sleeper Gill. You know, everybody's been talking about it. It is the talk of the town right now, and I'm going to break down why, what's so special about it, where to fish it, and how to fish it. So we're going to talk about that, and then you're going to find out why it is so dang good. So it is no secret out there that bass love bluegill. It doesn't matter if it's largemouth, smallmouth, or spotted bass. They absolutely love to eat them. They are a protein-packed little meal. They come in small sizes all the way up to great big ones, so it works for every size range of bass. That's why they love them, right? They also chase them all year round, and they're also always chasing them off their beds. Bluegill are probably one of the top predators of bass eggs out there. So it is no stranger to think that a bluegill swim bait would catch a ton of fish, right? The bass are eating them all year round, you know. From pre-spawn through the spawn, they're chasing them. They follow bluegill beds, and then they chase them out deep and shallow in that grass. It's no, wherever you find bluegill, there's going to be bass around. So that is why it works so good, right? Because there's really no other swim bait that imitates a bluegill quite like this little sleeper gill. Most of the ones that you see are pretty big, right? This one is out there because it targets all sizes of bass. Even a 10-pounder will eat a bluegill this big, but now it is easier to catch 2, 3, 4-pounders with this bait, because typically a bluegill swim bait is hard for fish to get in its mouth, right? They have a big exposed hook on top of their head, and unless it's a true giant, it's hard to get that bait in its mouth. They have to turn it sideways in order to try to eat it. But now with this smaller sleeper gill, you can see that's the size of my hand right there, that problem's gone, you know? And what they did is they keeled it with a weight system in the bottom. So like you can see, if I were to set it right there, it sits perfectly like that. So now you can hop it along the bottom and actually fish it a lot easier through grass, because they have this patented design where the fins fold away and that hook point can sit right up underneath of there, and then the fins cover it right up. So it makes it really easy to fish this bait through grass, which makes it super, super deadly, because the majority of swim baits out there, I would say 99% of them, have an exposed hook or a belly hook. This has neither. You know, it's really easy to expose that hook, but it's not going to hinder it's not going to hinder anything, and it's really easy to expose, but it's also going to keep all the grass and everything else off of there. You know, if everybody's ever thrown the Dark Sleeper by Megabass, that is also the very similar aspect that imitates gobies. But that is a kind of a niche bait. You know, you can only really throw it where there's a lot of smallmouth that are feeding on that. This is going to play all across the country. So this bait, like I was talking about in the pre-spawn and spawn, is really going to play a huge role around that time period where the majority of the bass are living up shallow. You know, I don't even know how heavy this bait is. Let's see, 3/4 ounce. So you can fish it out deeper, but with all the bulk there and that big paddle tail, it's going to displace a lot of water, and it's going to be really tough to fish out deep. So the best time to fish this bait is going to be early in the spring, specifically around the spawn. This is a bait that is going to be a game changer when it comes to catching largemouth around beds. That's primarily what this bait was designed for, but don't let it discourage you from throwing it for smallmouth or spotted bass. It's just going to be one of those deals where the majority of those swim baits, like I talked about, are really big, and now you can put this finesse presentation that is nose heavy that will sit on their beds through grass, through wood, and just really, really aggravate those bass on those beds. Because if anybody's ever seen spawning bass and had bluegill around it, they are constantly pecking at it, constantly chasing it, and those fish go absolutely nuts when a bluegill goes by it. So I think that is going to be the game-changing time to throw this. Once it gets like summer, fall, I really don't think it's going to play as much of an issue. Maybe later in the fall when they're up chasing bait, but for the majority of the time they're going to be chasing shad and whatnot at that point. But the springtime, I think, is going to be the key time to throw this. So the gear that I would throw this on is you could either go braid to a fluorocarbon leader, like a 40, 50-pound braid to a 20-pound fluorocarbon leader, or I think you could get away with 20-pound fluorocarbon just fine. You know, this has a really beefy hook on there. You're not going to bend it out, but you're also going to need to muscle that hook home. So this isn't going to be a bait that I'm going to throw on light gear. I'm going to throw this on like a 7.3 heavy all the way up to a 7.6 medium, like heavy, flipping rod for the most part. And I think that's really going to be really advantageous because of that one big single hook. You'll put it right in the roof of their mouth every single time. That's been my experience with it anyway. I haven't seen it any other way. Sometimes it slides into the corner when they come after it. But the gear that I'm going to throw this on is going to be beefed up. It's going to be swim bait gear. It's not going to be giant swim bait gear, but it's going to be swim bait gear. And I'm going to use that to really drive that hook home with that big single hook and put more fish in the boat. So another crazy part about this bait is just because the fins fold away, you would think that would be it, right? Well, this whole body is hollow. This whole body collapses, which is also pretty new to bluegill swim baits or swim baits in general. Having this hollow body with this one big single hook allows you to get a lot of hook penetration out there. There's going to be nothing that's going to hinder that hook from getting that full penetration into the roof of their mouth, which is going to allow you to catch a lot more fish. And with that 3/4 ounce, it's just going to allow it to weasel through any cover you want right there because of that big paddle tail. It's going to slow it down. You know, 3/4 sounds pretty intimidating, but when you put a tail that big on there, it's going to change that fall rate exponentially. So don't sleep on this bait this fall, this spring, especially in the spring, like I said, and just beef up your gear a little bit, and get out there and throw this thing. This sucker looks incredible, has all kinds of different colors out there. So do not sleep on this bait. This is going to be one to watch coming into that through the spawn period. It is going to be a phenomenal tool for you guys that love to bed fish, especially. If you guys like to bed fish, this is going to be a bait that you're going to want to pick up. Or if you guys just live on a lake that has a ton of bluegill and not much other bait fish, this can be a super critical key. But I would definitely make sure I have them before the spawn comes around next year. So this is going to be a great Christmas gift idea, and just, you know, planning for the future. Like I said, the fall might be a good time for it, but spring is definitely going to be key with this bait because that is when they are chasing bluegills. If you guys like this video, be sure to hit that like button and comment with what else you want to see more of. And don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button for my regular content coming out every Tuesday and Friday at 7 p.m. But thank you guys so much for watching. And if you like this video, be sure to check out this video up here where I talk about how I fish a chatterbait in the summertime. I think that'll really help you guys dial that in there and catch a ton more fish when you're not using this bait. So thank you guys so much for watching, and God bless.